Hello and welcome to Seahawk Talk on Tuesday, April 21. My name's Ed Habishaw. And if you're familiar with Seahawk Talk on Tuesdays, you've seen us rotate the 3 o'clock spot each week. We had Tom Blaney in week 1, Matt Finlayson in week 2, and Andrew Pizzelli in week 3. Today, we are scheduled to have 4 Seahawks in the opening segment. We're going to have to reduce it by 3, unfortunately, but let's go to the overall list and see who's on today's program. From our athletic training staff, we'll have Dave Cox, Rebecca Ramirez-McKinley, Emily Miller, and then for men's lacrosse, we'll have Rich Bernasconi. For men's tennis, we'll have Owen Curtin, class of 1996. And from our women's track and field program, Matt Hurd. Without further ado, let's open up a large room in a Zoom meeting to welcome our first guests. They are our athletic trainers, and I will identify them by sight. Oh, actually, they have their names on there. Welcome, Emily, Rebecca, and David. How are you guys doing?
We're well. How are you?
Very good. I'm glad we had the opportunity to bring you guys into this program because I know you've been working behind the scenes, as you typically do. And having you on this program gets to highlight folks that are support staff folks. And while you are behind the scenes, you're typically on the front lines in helping our athletes and our teams be healthy, whether it be from a practice setting or a game setting. Talk about your day-to-day process of how you go about doing that, and then we'll go forward and talk about what you've been doing since all competition has been shut down.
Well, let's see. On a day-to-day basis, we start with our general preparation, a lot like athletes do. We prepare to make sure that we have everything that we need to support them, not just in practices and on in their competition field of play, but also in the clinic. A lot of what we do is completely behind the scenes in the clinic and preparing for their care when it comes to their post-injury recovery, as well as preparing for things like preseason and making sure that everyone is prepared to go into physical exertion and making sure they're all safe to do that. So we go from long before everybody steps on campus in those contacts that everybody out there has had from me in particular, all the way through to postseason and post-injuries. So when we're preparing to go out to cover a practice or a game, we have a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff to do in that way. And between those times, we're in the clinic when people come in and do rehabilitation or get treatment for pain management, things like that. There's a lot of things that we do that are just completely behind the scenes so that our athletes can perform and be the best that they can be.
So we're going to play a clip right now that showcases each of our 4 athletic trainers in their work. Rebecca on a golf cart. Amanda slowly walking on the ice. And Emily working not only with our men's ice hockey team, but also baseball. I hope you weren't under the dog pile, Emily, when South Virginia baseball celebrated its last championship in...
It's funny, you always see some injuries with dog piles.
Yeah. I cringe every time it happens.
I remember with softball in 2016, I think Figgy got a bloody nose from getting an elbow or a foot or something.
Oh, I've definitely had concussions, everything to wrench shoulders, like somebody else is hurt in those big piles.
Rebecca.
You can't stop it.
We're ready for a championship in a sport that you covered. Talk about the sports that you've covered and how your approach to them are.
Oh, so I work mostly with football, women's basketball, women's lacrosse, but I see pretty much everyone. I think we all see pretty much everyone on a daily basis. And, it's very different covering all of them. They're all very different sports. Football, it's early mornings, long Saturdays. You get a lot of very different injuries. to women's basketball where it's a lot of late nights, but you kind of get some more one-on-one time being with a smaller team, to women's lacrosse where we just we hit the ground running, because they've done all of this preparation in the winter time, and then I get over to them and we're just 60 to 100 right away. We're not even 0 to 100. We're 60 to 100. So it's great working with all of the teams. They're all a lot of fun, and we just are so lucky at Salve to have a really, really great group of student athletes. And I think it's one of the things that makes us very different is really hardly even do we have somebody who's not a good person. They're all great. So, they want to have a good time and they want to win some championships, and hopefully next year, all of this work that we're putting in this year and while we're all home will finally manifest into some rings. So,
Emily, Rebecca, and David, we talked in Q about how your area is similar to my area, full-time wise, is sports information, and how we watch our athletes prepare and our teams prepare to get ready to go out and battle and compete on the field, on the ice, track, the courts, and we're there as their support staff. We want them to succeed, but we also do not compete against our opponents. We actually have great camaraderie with our fellow schools, whether it be in the CCC or non-conference. Talk about that.
I think that when it comes to what we do as support staff, and I think you hit the nail on the head with your department as well with sports information and sports medicine, what we do is not competition. Our job is, in a way, support. It's that foundation of support for our athletics. When we go out and we do our thing, we're helping you to be healthy, and you guys are publicizing what goes on out there and making sure that everybody knows about it. But we're making sure our athletes can do it. But we're not competing at the same time, which can feel a little bit weird sometimes because we get caught up just like everybody else. That competition and that success is icing on the cake for us. We like to be out there and watching everyone compete. And of course, we become fans of the sports that we cover in a lot of ways. We want them to win. We want them to win really bad. But in a lot of ways, we are very neutral. When we cover sports, especially myself with covering soccer and Rebecca covering basketballs, any sports that don't have that mandatory medical coverage from your home team, we're caring for everyone. When I go out to cover men's soccer for most events, I'm covering our home team and I'm there for the visiting team, whether that's for pregame preparation, through treatment afterward, or evaluation on the field at the time, and making sure that all athletes, even those visiting athletes, can compete as best they can while they're there with us. I am the athletic trainer for the event. I'm not necessarily the Salve Regina athletic trainer. And so that can be kind of a role that some people might find a little not necessarily difficult, but I wear a Salve SR.
Yes.
But I'm there as a neutral medical person. And I know that I find pride in doing that as well, and getting that athlete, no matter whose symbol they're wearing, back out on that field of play.
When's the last time either of you have taped an ankle or iced an arm?
When was the last time we were on campus?
Sometime in March.
For me, it was March 11th.
Sometime in
March
there?
11th was the last baseball games, so...
How do you keep those
My
skills?
wife's pretty injured, so I do
Oh,
it on
okay.
a regular basis. She also had surgery on her knee, so we've been doing rehab and stuff at home. So at least I get that little bit of my job.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how do you keep those skills sharp in this interim during this pandemic?
Well, it's funny because, you always hear it's like riding a bicycle. It's the same thing with taping an ankle. We do so many of them on a weekly basis, let alone a daily basis, that, might be a little rusty coming back in the fall, but it's one of those skills where you just kind of have it until you don't.
Who can talk about the school's approach to keeping folks informed from a wellness standpoint? I know Andrew Pizzelli's been on a committee with many others that are producing wonderful social media posts in terms of staying home, save lives, stay safe.
Huge shout out to Andrew Pizzelli. He's been the front person on this. His graphics and his impetus to put that stuff out has been on top of us all. So he's done a great job with that. Yeah. Emily and Rebecca both have been contributing a ton. Emily's done a lot of the those taglines that you've seen. She put a lot of work into that stuff. So those guys have been doing a real good job in getting a lot of that stuff out there. And we're trying not to blast people, give them too much. We know that stuff is going out. There's tons of information to put out, but we want to be as concise as possible. And this group's been doing a really good job. Emily,
tell me how that process has gone for you.
Well, I mean, I feel like I did a little bit, kind of a lot of it early on, finding some suggestions from the CDC, from WHO, from, just from the NCAA, from everything that's out there, just seeing okay, and just kind of thinking about okay, if I'm stuck in one place, what sort of things that do I know are going to help me be a little more comfortable, be a little happier, be a little, in a better headspace. And so that's kind of where I've drawn a lot of that from. And it's okay. And again, how can we best make these suggestions to people? How can we best illustrate this to these? I love Andrew's graphics have been fantastic. I have to say, I think my favorite one is the nutrition one. I just think that's with the Seahawk, it's just absolutely beautiful.
Love seeing a bountiful of food through a Seahawk.
Well, I mean, nice, colorful food, that's the good stuff for you. But kind of, that sort of thing. And then just talking with, my friends and my family, what's been helping them, what's, that sort of stuff. And it's a good place to draw from. I've also helped with the Salve Cares calls, which have been, I think, just as good for us making the calls as it has been for the students. It's been a pretty good, from what I can tell, a pretty good response to that. And, hearing firsthand from the students what they need, that right there, it's also going to be a great place for us to start off from for those graphics.
Absolutely. And I've talked with Andrew as well. He put together a nice montage of each of those graphics to date that you guys have been a part of. And we just played them for the audience to see in one quick sweep through 30 seconds. Any last words you want to share with the audience out there? I know we're missing Amanda from this presentation, and she sends her best to all. Wish she could see you right now. But any thoughts from all three of you?
Yeah, I think that the vein of what we're trying to do with those graphics is to reach out and hope that it reaches someone to say, hey, we have some suggestions on how to get through this, because we're all struggling through it. We've all lost a lot when it comes to having to stay at home. Our contact with our student athletes is lost, and that's something that's big with us. That's why that we got into being athletic trainers, is to go out there and hands-on take care of folks, and we can't do that right now. The huge losses of our spring sport, especially athletes, we want to help you get through that and get back out to us so that you can come back and compete again. Get through this, knowing that it's different now. We know it's different now. It's going to be different, but how can we all help you do something that's challenging, which is what we always do.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Rebecca. Good to have you on Seahawk Talk on Tuesday, April 21. We'll be catching up with you soon, and we'll be heading to our next guest.
Thank you.
Take care. That's Emily Miller, Rebecca Ramirez-McKinley, and David Cox joining us on the first segment of Seahawk Talk here on Tuesday, April 21. We'll be back with assistant men's lacrosse coach Rich Bernasconi. I've been struggling with that all day, but look forward to talking with him in a minute. Stick with us.
I know sports is important, but having the academic part along with it is a big plus.
I've discovered in myself, a newfound ability to overcome adversity at all different angles.
Welcome back to Seahawk Talk. I'm Ed Habashaw. Tuesday, April 21. Just had 3 guests, Emily, Rebecca, and David from our athletic training staff. And now we're going to head out to a coach who has benefited from the great work from our athletic trainers, including Amanda Karsten, and that is Rich Bernasconi. I think I got it.
You got it, Ed. Lots of practice. You got it. Thanks for having me.
It's going to be nonstop practice for me, Rich. Really appreciate you joining us on today's show. You are very familiar with Commonwealth Coast Conference men's lacrosse. As I learned earlier today, not only did you graduate while playing at Roger Williams College, now university, but you also became the first head coach in the history of Wentworth Institute of Technology men's lacrosse.
That's right, Ed. I've been around a long time. I graduated in 91 at Roger Williams. Lucky enough to get the first coach at Wentworth to help get that program off the ground. And fast forward 21 years later, I'm back with one of my old friends, Coach Cooney, Pat Cooney, giving me an opportunity to come down and join the Seahawk family. And it's been tremendous so far.
Was it that fast forward, or did a lot happen along the way? What have you seen in the sport as it has gone from early 90s to now 2020?
I'd say there's 2 main differences, Ed. First of all, just the talent and the caliber of the athlete that we're getting now in the sport of lacrosse. I'd say in the past 10, 15 years, the club lacrosse scene has really proliferated nationwide. That would be the big thing, just the talent. And then the other thing from a coaching perspective and administrative perspective would be just roster size. The early 90s, you're talking 20, 25 kids a roster. Now, pretty much every college roster, especially the teams that we play in Division I, Division II, you're talking 40-plus kids. So that's a big difference right there. Those would be the 2 main differences, talent and roster sizes.
And, Coach, your involvement at Roger Williams and then subsequently Wentworth Institute of Technology preceded the sport coming into the Commonwealth Coast Conference. Bernasconi is much easier to say than CCC. Talk about seeing the sport move from the Pilgrim League in its early days and now where it sits right now for us in the CCC.
Well, again, you're talking about just the overall talent level, the coaching level. I won't mention any current CCC schools that were in the Pilgrim League, but a number of teams, just were on a shoestring, didn't really have the proper coaching, the administration, and so forth. But now, pretty much every team in the CCC, it's a battle every week. We've seen that the last couple of years. Of course, Endicott and Western New England have dominated in the last decade, but the gap is certainly narrowing, and we certainly felt this year off to a 5-1 start. We had a great opportunity to break through and get up there with those big boys and strive and reach our goal, which is to win the league and earn that elusive NCAA bid for Salve.
And I know Andrew Pizzelli has been a part of the men's lacrosse program from a sports information standpoint. He has seen many of your games this year, and he was quite impressed with the play that the Seahawks had put on the field, both home and away games.
Yeah, we had a couple really big wins. We won down at the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy down on Long Island, which was a big win for us. We beat Clark University in an overtime game, the first game, team that had beaten us, I believe it was 18-8 year prior. So we were playing very well. We had an excellent goaltending. We had some really good goal scorers, and just the program in general. It's in really good footing right now. Coach Cooney has done a great job, not just instilling the the play on the field, but just the overall culture, the atmosphere, the family atmosphere that he brings. Thing that he usually brings up, what I'm really impressed with. There's a lot of siblings that have come to Salve, like the current guys that I'm coaching now, Chris Sheehan, I think in particular, yep. Ryan Eater. They've had older siblings come through, and to me, that's a big feature that a parent and a family is going to send their second boy up to to play under Coach Cooney in this program. And like I said, the family atmosphere is a really nice thing up here.
And both riders who aren't just twins, they're triplets because their sister Megan plays on the women's lacrosse team.
That's right. We can't forget about Sean and Liam. That's another one. They're here at the same time. So the siblings are big here, and like I said, it just adds to the family atmosphere, and it's really something special to be a part of. The attitude is fantastic.
Coach, we're showing right now some goal scoring against Johnson and Wales University back in February, I believe, at Topa Field. After just 3 goals in the first half, and we're showing all 3, the team scored for the second straight year against the Wildcats 21 goals. Talk about how that offensive output.
Well, I think it all starts from the face-off, Ed. We got a lot of possessions that night. We were struggling a little bit early. We had our senior, Joe Souza. I want to give Joe a shout-out. I don't think he's going to be back with us next year for his 5th year. And freshman Kieran Hughes from the New Jersey area. They got it starting. And to be honest, I told Coach Cooney, 2 of our attackmen down there, Brendan Kelly from Kellenberg down in Long Island, and Pat Leary from Wakefield, Mass. These guys are prime-time scorers, prime shooters, and thankfully both are juniors, so they'll get a chance to to come back and compete and get that league title for us next season.
And you talk about the family atmosphere. You must be awfully proud of your family having created the first father-son combo in the history of Roger Williams men's lacrosse.
That's right, Ed. My son is a senior this year at Roger Williams. Unfortunately, he picked up an injury early. I think he stepped on the field for 1 shift this year. He got hurt in the first game against Babson. But yeah, that means a lot to us. He's really passionate about the sport, as am I. And to see, to be the first father and son duo go through Roger Williams, I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud of proud of myself and his journey and everything that he's gone through. The sport of lacrosse has meant so much to our family, and it's kind of bittersweet to see it end this way for him, but at the same point in time, he's made some great friendships, lifelong friendships over the years, and we're really going to miss that Salve Roger Williams Cohog Cup game this year. That was going to be a great night, but unfortunately, the pandemic got to us, and we'll have to wait some other time.
We are glad, Rich, that you have elevated from just a plain old Hawk to a Seahawk. So welcome to Salve Regina University, and thanks for joining us on Seahawk Talk.
And thanks so much for the opportunity to come. It's been great so far at Salve. Look forward to the upcoming season, and thanks again for having me on.
Good seeing you, Rich.
Thanks, Ed. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
That's Rich Bernasconi, and I said it properly that time. We'll take a short break and be back with Owen Curtin. I remember that name from 1996. Stick around.
3 allows you to be able to give yourself to other things. Not even just participate in them, but really get involved with them if you want to.
There's a lot of interaction. It's not just sitting back, taking notes. You're actually doing hands-on things and better preparing yourself for your major.
Camera loves me.
No uh-ohs here. We're back. We're back with Seahawk Talk. I'm Ed Habershaw. Welcome back. We had our three of our four athletic trainers to start off today's segment at 3 o'clock. Emily, Rebecca, and David. Sorry we missed Amanda. And we jumped right to Rich Bernasconi. Yes, I said it. Okay. And now we're heading to men's tennis. A gentleman that I coached for 3 of his first 4 years, and then I let go of the program after the 1995 season when we had our first ever spring break trip to Cocoa Beach, Florida. I think he remembers it well because that was 25 years ago, and he's got a good memory. So without further ado, let us go to Owen Curtin. How are you?
Hey, guys. Hey, Coach.
Good to see you, Owen. I know we talked last night, but it wasn't FaceTime. Now it's FaceTime, and I get to see you.
Yeah, it's a totally different emotion. Just to be clear, I'm wearing the Habershaw Years shirt. Representing. How are you doing, Coach?
That's a shirt that you brought in last year, along with some fellow alumni. We'll get to that soon, but I actually want to talk you up here because what an outstanding player you were over your 4 years at Salve, Regina. First of all, I apologize. What was your major here? Biology.
Yes.
And what are you doing with that degree right now?
Right. Yeah. I'm living. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
No, I didn't really follow up with that. I went into aviation. I'm currently an airline pilot with United Airlines. So, yeah.
Is that the way into aviation? Biology?
Well, it happened to go that way, and I have no regrets.
I know. Well, right now I'm showing a set of photos. They are black and white from 1996. Yep. You are on the court serving. A good follow through on your serve. Coach Shanley is in the background watching you from the baseline. And then
put the hurt on in this one.
And then you've got a backhand slice. And then, see, I'm doing play-by-play. Then you got a forehand approach. And now, I believe you're going to come to the net and reach for that wide backhand volley. Come on, get there. There it is.
This video you're seeing right now.
Yes, because I'm showing it to the audience. It's
okay.
Vintage Owen Curtin from 1996.
Wow. Amazing. I got to see it.
And that was on one side of the net. And now we're going to take folks to the other side of the net and show Owen Curtin retrieving a deep ball to his forehand. And now he's going on the attack with his forehand. And he's following through with his forehand. Get to the net, Owen. Get to that. There he goes. Volley. He gets nice and low, steady racket, and then he gives a nice fist pump because he just won the point. Well done, Owen Curtin.
That's great. I love
job. During your career, Owen,
yes,
you started off at number 3 singles, quickly elevated to number 1 singles. You won a couple of individual flight championships for the Seahawks, and then you also were part of Commonwealth Coast Conference championship teams. Talk about your memories there, what you remember from the competition standpoint and from a teammate standpoint.
So that's good you bring that up. So there's with team tennis, right? You have your individual matches, and then you have the team as a whole. So you want to win for the team, but you also want to win for you, and you have your individual struggles on court. But I remember that conference tournament a lot. I don't know if it was the tunes on the van that were great. The team was awesome, just character-wise. And I remember those guys putting a lot of faith in me to win at number 1. And that felt good. So there was team support. And then whoever finished their matches would run around and find everyone else and support them in their matches. And there was a lot of camaraderie during that stretch. I recall that was a good tennis team to be a part of, really a good any team to be a part of. Sometimes tennis teams you get individuals and you want to play certain positions and you're better than this guy and they don't think so, and it can get a little, some inner headbang going on. But that team was not like that. And that was fun.
You were part of that talent, and you brought some of that talent back with you as then volunteer assistant coach Adam Zakara, your former teammate, and now current head coach Adam Zakara.
Yes.
He organized this wonderful event last April 27, so we're almost approaching a year since you and some former Seahawks came. Actually, I shouldn't call you former Seahawks because many of you were just Newporters before we became the Seahawks.
We were Seahawks.
Your senior year, we definitely were.
Yeah.
But prior to, I think Adam's final year, he was known as a Newporter.
Interesting.
And then he became a Seahawk as he has returned as the head coach. But he organized this wonderful event where he brought you guys back, and you met over at Miley Cafeteria. I'm showing the table layout with the bags and the tennis balls.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
And so forth. And then you, Mark Saulnier, Dr. Mark Saulnier, Mike Lombardi, John Papapicozzi, Johnny Lees, and, of course, Adam Zakara. And here we see you on the number one court. Owen, you look the same as you did in the black and white photos.
It felt real good to be on that court and lay the hammer down, so to speak. We had a lot of fun. That was good.
The last image we see here is you coming back this past November, and you helped again support head coach Adam Zakara with his tennis smash at Oka Court.
Right.
That was another great event.
It seems like as far as, the time that's gone since I was there, so much life happened, but, you look back to find out what's important to you, and to be a part of that was kind of that thing. It was like, hey, wait, I was a part of this, and it felt good to be back and see everyone. It was amazing because the team that we had that day, I recall Papa Picozzi going deep three, and he was right there again 20 years later. More than 20, 25.
24 last year,
24.
But 25 this year.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, all but Johnny Lees were on the Cocoa Beach trip.
Yes, that's right.
And how fortunate I was that you, Brendan Flynn, Adam Zakara, and Mike Lombardi said, Coach, we're going to head down early. That created a lot of more room on the van when I was driving down there with former men's soccer coach Keith Corey, bringing the crew down to Cocoa Beach. But what a great time we had down there. It helped us to bond.
It was great. I'm willing to. We should go back. We should do it again.
The funny thing is, I do a lot of videotaping, and I remember having this monster camera on my shoulder throughout that trip and throughout the season, recording on VHS, Owen. And I kept promising that I would put together a nice tape. So we could remember vintage Deichler. Well, this past fall, when John Picozzi was inducted into the Salve Junior Athletic Hall of Fame, I reviewed that tape, grainy VHS cassette. Boy, was I an awful camera operator back then.
It's amazing you have that, though.
It is, but
no good.
I didn't zoom well. I didn't pan well. I was awful.
Well, I think also those cameras were massive and difficult.
They were clunky. Thank you. Thank you for the excuse.
Yeah, so,
Well, tell me what being a commercial airline pilot is like before the pandemic.
Pre-pandemic, it's a dream job, so to speak. Like, it's super fun. It's totally different. You kind of find like the cities you like to be in, and they become like your second home. Like the guy in the barbershop, and the people in the restaurant, and the people at the tennis clubs, because I'll bring my rackets and I'll play in San Diego or London or Miami or Hawaii, and so it gets you around. It's a little crazy on the home front because you're living out of a suitcase, and I'm realizing that more and more now because I'm home all the time. Yeah. But it's totally fun. And it's if you're gonna work, if you get that much pleasure from something, then it was worth it, and it is. I'm thrilled with that decision to get into it. It's always risky. Now, post pandemic, it's completely potentially ruined, and
it's up in the air, but no pun intended.
Yes, yeah, it's eerily silent. Who knows anything where it's going to go, how it's going to work out? No, because nobody knows. When 9/11 hit, the airlines took it bad, and it took them a decade to spool back up to where they wanted to be. Literally 10 years. So this certainly will be a decade hit for these airlines because they're going to have to bottom out and then rebuild. And so that's going to be a real bummer to sit through, and hopefully they come out stronger without a lot of job loss and a lot of carnage. But
and Owen, you were grounded pre-pandemic not for anything, but you had to have a wing repaired, correct?
I did. I just had, yes. So from tennis and years of a bad toss on my serve, the behind me toss completely turns my shoulder into hamburger meat, and they had to go in and completely repair it. And I've been laid up for about 6-7 months now with that surgery.
That didn't stop you on the court a year ago when you played at #1 singles and you won in straight sets.
Well, it wasn't. It got bad that summer.
Okay.
But I appreciate you saying that. I wish I could say it was totally ripped and hurt real bad, but it was feeling okay that day.
Well, I did. The footage that we just showed, I did see you sort of nursing it because you returned a ball with your left hand.
Yeah, I was doing that from time to time because it was, if I didn't have it just right, it would just be like an electric shock in the shoulder. If it was a little behind me or something like that, and I really took a cut at it, and so sometimes if I knew I'd be behind it, I'd have to go to the left just to get the ball back over the net. Typically, I like to grip it and rip it, as you know, but that wasn't the case.
Well, your playing days 25 years ago and now last year coming, you saw that the courts needed some bad repairs. And then Adam Zakara took your thoughts and he ran with it. Our fences have been lowered. He's approached the USTA and he's looking for grants and he's looking to get resurfacing, two-tone paint, so blue courts with green in out-of-bounds territory. So a lot of good things are happening. And I want to thank you, Michael, Mark, John, and John, Papa is the second John, for arriving last spring and really seeing the condition of the program and the courts and the help that they needed.
Yeah, it seems like, most programs every now and then need a little, work done. Whether, some get neglected more than others, and I think that's fairly typical at universities. And you build programs, and some take the hit from it. Maybe you guys were building football for a long time, and the tennis didn't get the attention it needed or whatever. However it worked out. But, that school and that location needs to be a tennis stop, in my opinion. And with the Hall of Fame right down the road and what that brings in the summer and the history of Newport with that, that tennis program needs to be up and running, and it seems like it's getting there. So
with all the work that Adam Zakara has done, what do you think he's doing right now?
Well, I hope he's watching us or doing some jumping jacks and push-ups and keeping his body as toned as he typically does. That's what I hope he's doing.
I'm showing a picture. Actually, I'm showing a compilation of 2 pictures that he has sent me. One is he's on the hammock in his mansion at Carey Mansion on Ruggles Avenue.
Oh, yeah. That's what he's doing.
And 2, he is watching Seahawk Talk. Hello, Adam. I hope you're doing well out there.
Yeah, he's watching it on the hammock.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
With a beverage of sorts.
I've combined those 2 photos, Owen.
Awesome.
So you are looking very good. I really appreciate you joining the show. And that shirt looks outstanding. I'm glad it's not in the FaceTime view. We can actually see it, what it spells.
It says the Havishai years, and then on the back, the years. But I have a whole bag of them for you. I keep forgetting to send them up.
Well, I was very fortunate to coach not only you, but many young gentlemen from 1991 through 1995. And those were great years. I was obviously younger back then. And I learned a lot from you guys. You guys made it so easy to be a head coach, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. It was an amazing time. I think back, it's one of those blurs that you took for granted. You know what I'm saying? And I would love to have that time back and, stay after practice and still hit and, put in even more effort to it. But we did, it was great. And it's great we're even communicating now. It says a lot. So thank you.
Thank you. You're looking good. I could talk to you forever, but I'm going to go to our next guest, who is Matt Hearn.
Okay, cool.
He's our recruitment manager. We will definitely stay in touch, and you will return as a Seahawk and join your former teammates and future Seahawks as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Owen.
See you, buddy.
That's Owen Curtin, Salve Virginia University men's tennis from 1992 through 1996. He also won the mixed doubles championship with Nicole Anzalone way back when. You remember that, Owen?
I don't.
Well, I'm reminding you.
That's a good one.
Stick with us. We'll be right back with Matt Hurd.
Division III schools offer academic scholarships instead of athletic scholarships. This really puts the focus that the student athlete needs to maintain that GPA.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
Thanks for your patience out there. It took me a while to open up a third application. I got our first guest on Zoom, our second two on FaceTime, and now we're using WebEx. 3 different platforms, all outstanding guests. Our next guest comes to us from Warwick, Rhode Island. Let's go right over to Matthew Hurd.
Ed, how are you?
I'm very good, Matt.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a gloomy day, as you know, here in Warwick, but being with you always brings in the sunshine.
Well, I appreciate that. We were just talking with Owen Curtin, who lives in Connecticut, and he had thunder boomings going on. I haven't heard that noise outside my window, but whatever they're getting in Connecticut, it's on its way.
Could be here, yeah.
So everything's good in Warwick, and we've got some highlighting to do on some folks that really figure prominently in the women's track and field record book. Let's talk about them.
Well, yeah, I thought we'd talk about 3 records and record holders this afternoon. The high jump, the 4x100 relay, and the pole vault. So the current high jump record holder is Devin Smith. She graduated in 2018. She's now a nurse at Miriam Hospital in Providence. And luckily, I just talked to her a little while ago, and she's got all the protective gear she needs. So she's safe and, of course, doing a great job. But she came in as a freshman, and she was a little compromised because she'd really hurt her hamstring. She's about 5'8", 5'10", and long legs, which, of course, put a lot of strain because they're long levers on those hamstrings. And our athletic trainer, David Cox, likened it to taking some hair and just mashing it with chewing gum. The hamstring, instead of those fibers just running smoothly back and forth, they were just knotted all together and pulling every which way. And it took almost a whole year to break those up so that her hamstrings would function close to normal. So her freshman year was kind of wiped out. Sophomore year, we were working to get back in the 400 meters. We tried some jumping. And then I looked back and I saw she was a high jumper in high school. I said, well, let's try that. She said, all right, we're ready to go. So we bought the pits out when first practice or so in her junior year. And I said, well, let's just take a couple of jumps. Don't worry about it. Just jump and see what because it's been 4 years since she last jumped. And so she takes a jump, and she looked pretty good. So I said, do it again. So she took another one, and she looked good. And I said, oh, shoot, because I thought, being away for that long, we'd have to do a lot of, I would say, repair work, or maybe even just a lot of work, period. But she did. So I said, okay, well, take another one. Now I'm starting to look at some of the various pieces of the jump to see if they held up. And she just looked great. And the fourth one, and finally she got off the pit and looked at me, because all I'm doing is telling her just to jump, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. She's not getting any feedback or anything, which, we normally do.
She didn't ask how far?
Oh, we had a low height. You worry about the form, not the height. So I said, Devin, you look good. And, her smile, just because she's got a great smile, just lit up her face. She started giggling and laughing. And from then on, we worked once a week, because that's about all you want to do with the high jump, because a lot of pounding on the legs as you come off the approach. And by the end of the season, she did well, for somebody who hadn't jumped in 4 years. So the next season, we're rolling. We work on her approach a little bit because need a little more speed, a little more torque on the takeoff. And then we get into the conference championship, senior year, and the competition was good. I mean, there are a lot of people right around where she is. Unfortunately, the official wasn't quite up to the task. And she was used to doing high school where they bend a lot of rules and stuff, and she didn't have a good grasp of the metric system. She's used to the imperial ones, and she's trying to make conversions, and there was a lot of delays and stuff. But through the whole thing, Devin was calm. She was collected, just keeping warm and everything else. And bang, bang, bang. Every jump she took was great. Legs flipping right over the top. And I'm looking at all her competitors, and some of them were they're good athletes, but they didn't have anything like her technique. And she wound up jumping 5'1", which was the school record. And she didn't know it because with all of the official trying to figure out what height the thing was at, sometimes we didn't even know. She sort of lost track of the height. She just kept jumping, which might have been a good idea, because sometimes you get a little psyched out if you're jumping at a height you haven't hit before. But she did. And I tell you, when I told her, her face just exploded. She was just so excited, jumping up and down, throwing her arms around, just one of those terrific sights that is hugely rewarding as a coach when you get somebody who deserves all of the best getting the best. So that was a terrific moment. So she's our high jump champion.
Record holder in the high jump.
Indeed she is.
We'll show that page on the screen, and we can prepare for our other folks that are also going to get recognized. Devin Smith. Outstanding. So out of height, out of mind, right?
Indeed.
Let's move on to your next honoree.
Well, we can talk about the 4x100 meter relay team. Last week you asked me what makes a good relay team, and I told you got to have good athletes. We had 4 really good athletes. Chrissy Fraga was our leadoff leg. She handed off to Erin McCarthy, who would be a future captain. She handed off to Kelsey Knight, who was current captain, and then to Tara Ruddy. And the way you set up a relay, you want somebody who can get out fast and is a good turn runner, so to put pressure on the exchanges of other teams in the competition. And you then hand up to somebody who's quick on the straights, then a good turn runner, and then somebody who is will fight, claw, and stab people in order to get to the finish line.
Stabbing was involved? Did somebody have a javelin out there?
Metaphorically.
Okay.
So we got to and they were looking for the record. They wanted it. They thought it was in sight, and it's great when every person has got the same motive, the same idea. And Kelsey is great because, boy, when she gets on a mission, she's unstoppable. So she'd get them all at practice. She'd get them all ready. She'd organize the exchanges. And a lot of times when the athletes are doing the coaching, it's actually better than when the coach does the coaching because they listen to their teammates.
Yes.
So we get to the New England Championships up in Waterville, Maine, Colby College, home of the Mules.
I know that's
my alma mater. And it was a great day. Everything was terrific. They were fired up. And so we're on the zones are all, the athletes are all in the zones. Gun goes off. Chrissy Frog comes flying out, and she had a good margin on the person who were inside. Hands off to Aaron, who flew down the back straight. Unfortunately, the exchange zone judges 2 and 3 had put up their flags indicating that the zone was ready way before the athletes were. They had just thrown it up. I don't know what they were doing. So Kelsey's in zone 3, and she would eat up turns. I mean, she just loved them. She looks, and she's getting ready to get her mark down and everything, and she looks, and she sees Aaron coming toward her like an express train. She says, oh, no! So she quickly turns around, sort of gets ready, and they get it to the zone, and they make the exchange. And she's coming, she hits the turn, hits the top of the turn, is coming into the zone, looks ahead, and she sees Tara Ruddy walking toward her with a piece of tape in her hand, ready to, marking off her steps to put the tape down on the track to mark her starting point. I said, oh, bleep. So she screams, Tara! And Tara looks up. Oh, my gosh. So she kind of throws the tape down, turns around, but by that time, Kelsey was right on top of her. And they meshed up side by side before the beginning of the zone. And, of course, you're not supposed to pass until you get to the zone. So, but even when they got in the zone, the rule is in the relays, you don't let the stick slow down. No matter what the people are doing, the stick has to move through the zone as fast as it can, and they're trained not to make the exchange until they're both going as fast as they could. So in this case, it took to the end of the zone before they were there, but they made the exchange, and Tara just flew down the straightaway and looked terrific. But I was up at the finish line with my watch, wanting to get the whole time. And I looked down, and there was the official had put up a yellow flag, which means there's a infraction. And it turned out to be us. She had flagged us. Now, the official was standing on the outside of the turn, which is the worst place to be because the exchanges can happen anywhere in that 20-meter exchange zone. So if you're in the middle, you got to look at the front, you got to look at the back, front, back, twisting your head all the time. Plus, since the incoming runners are on the inside of the turn, the exchanges are always blocked from your vision if you're on the outside. Yeah. And I went to talk to Kelsey, and let me just tell you something. Don't ever get on Kelsey Knight's bad side because that's not a place that anybody, even your worst enemy, wants to be. She was livid, absolutely livid. She said when she finished making the exchange, she had looked down, and the end of this zone was right in front of her. So there's no way it was a bad exchange. But the official must have just thought that when they met up at the beginning of the zone that they had made the exchange then. And what made matters worse, I went to the results to look at them, and we had run 50.62, which had blown the relay record, would have blown the relay record out of the sky. So they came back the next year. They were a team on a mission, and we went to Springfield, and they did. They ran 50.82, which wasn't quite as quick, obviously, as the one before, but they still had the record.
The record. It belongs to them, and it's nice that they were able to be together for more than 1 year.
Absolutely. Got a lot of experience with each other, so they knew basically what everybody was going to do. They didn't have to relearn anything.
That's how you learn.
That is.
And then our next record holder.
Well, yeah, so in the pole vault, our record holder is Victoria Lurison. Victoria, got my notes here. She graduated in 2016. And when she came in, she was a 10-foot pole vaulter in high school on Long Island. I knew she was coming in, so I rummaged around and I found a good pole vault coach because I am by no means the pole vault coach. Especially since they only allowed women to start vaulting long after I had started coaching in college. And It's like the old dog, new trick type of thing. So, but I got a good vault coach.
Smart dog, I might add.
What?
Smart dog, I might add.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. Wise dog too, maybe.
Yes.
To get somebody to do it for me. So anyway, they worked for the semester and the spring, and sometimes a little difficult to go from one coach that you've had for 4 years to another one, especially in a technical event like the pole vault. You've got different cues, different things you look for. But she looked good, going into our conference meet, and unfortunately, I'm sitting in Miley Friday at lunch, and I see her coming into Miley on crutches. And it turns out that she had sprained her knee landing in the pit on Thursday, the day before, and was out of the meet. So that was really kind of sad. Her sophomore year, she had some personal problems and really couldn't focus on the vault at all. Started to come back her junior year, and by this time my vault coach had gone other places, so it was just Victoria and me. And what Victoria would do, they have open rec at the University of Rhode Island. So all through the winter, twice a week, we'd meet down there at 8 o'clock in the morning. I come down from Warwick, she'd come in from Newport, and the good thing about it is that she really knew what she needed to work on. I brought the iPad with the coaching app, which gives you the slow-mo. She would tell me what she wanted to work on. I would tell me what she wanted to do. Look at this cue, look at that cue, find out her marker, takeoff point. We'd film the thing. She'd look at it, and then we'd critique it. And then I got to know what she was looking for, and I could give her some pointers as to what was going on in the air. And she started to come back. Really started to do well. But then as a senior, we got Victoria 4.0.
Woo.
In her junior year, we were at the Coast Guard, and her approach the whole year, even though technically she was getting a lot better, her approach was just slow. She would just slow way down when she came into the plant because she was afraid she was going to miss it. At Coast Guard, she finally looked like a vaulter. She really hit it, generated lots of energy, and really looked good. So we knew it was there. Senior year, everything was great. She was really committed, had the plant down, and it was just boing, boing, boing. So we came into the conference meet, and she and a vaulter from Roger Williams, I think, came in ranked just the same. We had the top two vaults in the conference. And in the pole vault, unlike any other field event, in every other field event, when you bring an implement into the competition it's going to use, it becomes a common implement, so anybody can use it. But vaulting is different because the pole is rated to the athlete. If you're a tall athlete, you need a longer pole. If you're jumping higher, you need a stiffer pole so it will propel you and you can stay on the pole longer. So they are private to the athlete, and you don't have the right to come over to somebody and say, hey, can I borrow your pole? Well, you can say it, but they don't have to say yes.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen.
No. So anyway, so they were vaulting, and if my recollection is correctly, Victoria is clear through 9 feet. And the Roger Williams athlete was good through 8.6. She went, her first jump at 9 feet really looked a mess. I mean, she was sort of all over the place. She barely cleared it, a lot of bar rattling. And I thought, well, this could be it. Because Victoria looks great, and this one looks like she's not going to go much farther than this. And she did make it on her second attempt. So that meant that Victoria was leading. So then the athlete, and then she looked like she was running out of pole. She needed a bigger pole, and she didn't have one. So the athlete then from Roger Williams comes over to Victoria and asks Victoria if she could use her pole. Now, Victoria doesn't have to say yes, especially knowing that the athlete's pole isn't going to take her to 9.6. and she could win. She could be a conference champion. And, at 9'6", she made it. She could be a record holder.
Yep.
But Victoria said, yes, you can use my pole. And I'm of two minds. As a coach, I say, winning the event is good. You like conference champions, but sportsmanship is better. So the girl takes the pole, and she comes down, and, first Victoria was jumping first, so she took her pole, came down, and made 9'6". The other athlete came in. She took with Victoria's pole, made 9'6" on her second attempt. So Victoria's still in the lead, but then at 10 feet, that athlete, had done 10 feet the prior year in high school, and Victoria hadn't done 10 feet for 4 years. So it was a little difficult for her to jump at that height. So Victoria got second. But, she demonstrated, from my perspective, the kind of athlete that we want. Somebody who doesn't put winning ahead of being a good sportsman. And she just exemplified, as far as I'm concerned, what our team is all about. And she understood. I mean, that was just who she is. She had no issues with it at all. But she's a pole vault record holder.
So Larson didn't just learn a lesson; she taught a lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, you've given us quite a great segment, Matt. I appreciate you preparing for this and sharing great background on the record performances of Devin Smith, your 4x4 relay team, and Victoria Larson.
And my pleasure.
Well, we will see you next Tuesday. Good to have you on the show again, and we will finish today's show thanking our guests, David Cox, Emily Miller, Rebecca Ramirez-McKinley, Rich Bernasconi, Owen Curtin, and Matt Hurd. I'm Ed Habashar, encouraging you to stay safe, wash your hands, keep your distance, and listen to Seahawk Talk. We'll be back tomorrow.